Wow. I just want to say thank you to all of our friends. Thank you, Jimmy Lee. You're awesome. But this is what it's about, is what Jimmy Lee is doing here. You know, our country, we're incredibly blessed. This is an amazing place. You know, we have natural beauty, abundant resources, incredible people all around us. But at the heart of America, America has done more for the world, for human flourishing, than any country. And at the heart of the United States is Kansas. It's this place, right here, right now. Kansas is the heart of America, and where Kansas goes, America can be ever stronger. And it's all because of you. You know, I believe, as Christ taught, that from those to whom much is given, much is expected. And that's the faith that guided my family through our entire lives. You know me as Governor or Dr. Jeff Colyer, but really, all of you here know me as Jeff. And our family name, Colyer, has been in a lot of places. It started out in Ireland and England, but it also was part of the Volga Germans that moved to western Kansas. And it's been spelled and pronounced a million different ways. In Ireland, it's Colyer. And with my western Kansas accent, it's Colyer, like call your mom. Call your wife, which I will do shortly. But what it really meant was coal miner, a carrier of coal. And wherever you find coal, you find Colyers. And that's why Ireland, pronounced it Colyer in the very beginning. Now, generations of Colyers worked hard on both sides of the Atlantic. They believed in the American dream. That's why they came here to Kansas. And in the 1860s and 70s, Kansas was the pinnacle of the American dream. It was the dream. To see these farmers on that flag was our dream. That was the American dream. And that's why Colyers came to Kansas. And guess what? They didn't find any coal, but it was like my dad. He didn't find any coal here, so he started digging teeth. And my dad, Jim, was the first person in his family to graduate from 8th grade, let alone high school or college, or to become a dentist. And he became the best dentist in Hayes, America, our hometown, for 5 generations. And you know what? Before my dad died, he said to me, I hope Trump wins. He'd be a hell of a president. And you know what? That's really what all of those coal miners were. They just didn't know that they were Trump voters yet. So in our house, my mom, Laureen, she made the rules, and they were pretty simple. You told the truth, you studied hard, and you always showed respect. You stood for the flag, and you kneeled for the cross. You prayed before meals, and you brushed afterwards. It was a great way to grow up. And like the country I loved, I felt I had been richly blessed, and therefore much was expected from us. So Mom and Dad sent us to the local public schools, and for high school, I went to Thomas More Prep in Hayes, America. St. Thomas More, the patron saint of public servants. Maybe my parents knew something I didn't. But the Capuchin Franciscans there insisted that we were here to serve, to make a difference in people's lives. So I thought about my spiritual life. That's what motivates us. But our physical life, maybe being a surgeon would be a way of doing it. But in that bigger world, it was really public service. And so I've always done those two things at the same time. And that's why I was at Georgetown and did economics and pre-med. And by the time I was 21, I had finished Georgetown and completed my master's work at Cambridge, and it was time to come home to Kansas. And there it was at KU, at the KU Med Center, that I met the love of my life, the greatest blessing of all, my bride, Ruth. Ruth was willing to take a chance on a struggling med student. And unfortunately, she can't be here today. We have one of our kids leaving the country for a week, and so she's taking them to the airport. But Ruth hung with me through med school, 4 residencies and fellowships, not to mention 3 noisy little blessings of our own, those 3 daughters of ours. But through 30 years, Ruth has been my love and has been the rock of our family. Ruth and I built our American dream together, and that's such an honor because all of us here are trying to do the same thing. But I've also been humbled, and humbled on both sides of the scalpel. A few years ago, I came down with cancer, and I can never say thank you enough to all of you here who prayed for me, who prayed for our families. There were thousands of Kansans that prayed for us, and I had to kneel before that cross, and I felt every one of your prayers. And I want to just say thank you for that. Fortunately, my treatment was successful, and as we surgeons say, the chance to cut is the chance to cure. And again, I was richly blessed. But from those to whom much is given, much is expected. And during medical school, I began doing humanitarian work around the world. Places like Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, places that you wouldn't want to go to in the Balkans or the Rwandan genocide or South Sudan. More than 24 countries in all. You may have seen that story on 60 Minutes. I hope you get to see it, about the children who've been branded as slaves and were facing death and a horrible fate. And being able to remove those scars, those brands from them, how they could come back to life once again. Everywhere people needed help, and everywhere we did whatever we could to help them. But no matter where I went, people were comforted by the same flag and that same cross. That meant freedom. It meant divine protection for them. And so here at home, I became a plastic surgeon. My specialty is craniofacial and reconstructive surgery. It's one of the few specialties where on a single day you can touch a living brain and a beating heart on the same day. I became a doctor to fight for my patients, to fight for them until hell freezes over, and then when that's over, we're going to continue fighting for them on the ice. You know, there are lots of kids in our area that have faced a lifetime of disfigurement. And chances are I got a chance to help them with their reconstructive surgery. And I'm proud to say there are a whole lot more smiles now to go around. But there's also always been a lot to do outside of my medical practice, especially with 3 brilliant daughters. And I am most proud of anything in my entire life of my 3 daughters, Melindy, Serena, and Domino. Even though I've been focusing on medicine, I had to think about the bigger world. So I started out as an intern for Bob Dole, like some of you here. And then I took a pause from my residency to be a White House fellow to Presidents Reagan and President Bush. And that was my first experience with executive leadership. That's witnessing firsthand the transformative power of conservative principles. And that's animated me ever since. So as our daughters grew, Ruth and I started thinking about Kansas, about the Kansas we were leaving to them. Because the fact was that, like to many of our young people, they had started to look and see maybe there's a possible future outside of Kansas. And so it's with a servant's heart and a real desire for potential grandchildren to be close, Ruth and I decided that we should join public service. So I ran for the state house and was elected. 2 years later, the local state senate seat came up. We ran and won that overwhelmingly, thanks to our neighbors. And 2 years after that, I was honored to join the ticket with my friend Sam Brownback, and I became the longest serving lieutenant governor in Kansas history. My biggest job was improving the Medicaid program, and we went to work straight away on it. Kansas became the first state in America to fully privatize Medicaid. And we've saved Kansans billions of dollars, actually $1 billion a year right now. And we kept the program solvent and focused on those it was meant to serve, rather than joining the Obama way and expanding it and doing things that could ruin our finances of our state. So when my friend Sam Brownback was nominated to be ambassador for religious liberty, I had the greatest honor of my life and that was to become the 47th governor of the great state of Kansas. Now, serving as governor is an enormous challenge. I immediately got to work. Like a typical Kansan, you do it quietly, methodically, and with conservative principles. The governor's job is wonderful and it's huge, and it is best to do it with a smile, with a scalpel, and with extreme professionalism. And before anyone knew it, we did more than many governors did in 2 full terms. And after all, the chance to cut is the chance to cure. So after the governorship, I was appointed by President Trump to chair his National Advisory Commission on Rural Health. And during COVID, many of you saw us in the Wall Street Journal and on national television defending President Trump and bringing common sense solutions to a very divisive national tragedy. Now, I've had the chance to visit with President Trump several times. And over the last couple of years, whenever I see him, he says, "I love Kansas." I wish I could do that impression better. Now, this is a unique situation like President Trump. President Trump was president number 45 and 47. He is proving the point that when you successfully have done the job and then leave office and reflect on it for a couple of years, when you come back, you can do more than anyone else in a very short period of time. You don't need to learn where the bathroom is. You can take on dozens of giant problems all at the same time. You're there to fix them, and that's what we need in Kansas. In my case, I would be numbers 47 and 49. Now, some people will try to go and look at someone else's record and speculate how I would be as a governor. And again, this is a unique situation. I've done the job. I have a proven record, a proven conservative results. And so I am proud. I am proudly running on my record as your governor, as a successful, strong, conservative governor that gets results. I held the line on taxes, including property taxes. I ended 50 years of litigation over our schools that had eluded over a dozen governors. And how did I do it? I did it with conservative principles. I paid for it not by raising taxes, but by making Medicaid more efficient and more effective to the people that it served. I helped us transition thousands of Kansans from welfare to work. We eliminated 3 cabinet agencies and 6,000 positions. I started the first smartphone app that you could actually make it convenient to deal with state government rather than having to deal with the concerns of the bureaucracy. We're trying to make Kansas more efficient and responsive to your needs, not the bureaucracy's needs. We ended foster children sleeping in offices. And you know what? More importantly, the culture of life was on the rise. So when I left state government, we had a surplus of $900 million. Now let me repeat that. We had a surplus of $900 million when I left the governor's office. And you know what? For the first time in years, the credit outlook of the state of Kansas began to rise. That's what conservative leadership is all about. And then there's the number I am most proud of, 1,448,000. As your governor, we had more Kansans working than ever before in the history of the state of Kansas. And now, like President Trump, I've had time after being a chief executive to hear from my neighbors, to hear from our friends, from strangers across the state who've said, "Jeff, we need you. We're tired of the high cost of living. We're tired about increasing crime going on. We want a better quality of life. We want our kids here. And so I look around and we see it. The reality is thousands of young people have left our state. During the last decade, Kansas has suffered an absolute population decline. It's the first time in generations. People are coming in and leaving. That's the wrong thing. We are dead last in our region when it comes to out-migration. That has got to stop. Let's look at it a different way. You know, the number of representatives, there are 435 representatives, and it's proportional. When my parents were alive, there were 6 congressmen. We went to 5. We're now at 4. We're on our way to 3. In other words, in our parents' lifetimes, Kansas has grown half as fast as the rest of the United States. If we don't turn this around now, we're just done. And I won't stand for it, and neither will you. And so I'm inspired by President Trump's example. I'm running for governor to make Kansas first. And over the next few months, we will be unveiling a very bold Kansas First plan. We have all of the pieces right here. Great families, strong businesses, thriving agriculture, vibrant manufacturing here. If we let Kansans be Kansans, we will flourish. So if we don't overtax, we don't overregulate, we don't over-litigate, Kansans will amaze us with what they can do. I'm running for governor to make your life more affordable. We will grow your family's income, and I will partner with President Trump to reshore high-paying manufacturing jobs like those that Jimmy Lee is doing right here. We need those jobs here in Kansas. We're going to bring new tech jobs to the state of Kansas. And many of these are jobs that don't require a college education, but they do require solid skills and Kansas values. We want every Kansan to earn more. We will strengthen small businesses, stand up for our farmers, build new tech jobs to keep our kids here in Kansas. And we can make it more affordable for you to live, work, and raise a family in Kansas. We will cut the cost of government to you. Kansas is the highest tax state of all of the 4 states around us. And then if you take a ring around all those other 15 states around them, we're the highest tax state except for Illinois and New Mexico. That is unacceptable. Kansas is too expensive on every level. Property taxes, income taxes, sales taxes. The bottom line is with Governor Jeff Colyer, we will cut taxes. Now, I know this is hard to believe, but we've done it once. We will actually make government more efficient and responsive to you. Smaller is better. And so I want to ask you a question. Since I left office, the size of the Kansas state government has grown 75%. Has all of that money changed your lives? Has it improved it anywhere? No. Well, thanks to Thomas More Prep and my English teacher who made us remember Shakespeare, quoting Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 3, line 87, no. But actually, I prefer a better quotation on that, and that's President Trump. Hell no! As a parent, education is important to me. We will improve education through more accountability and choice. And we're going to fight for our Kansas values like the ones that my parents instilled in me. We will get the woke out of our schools. We will focus on reading, math, technology, AI, and coding, the 21st century skills that our kids need to prosper. You know what? We need to think about this. We need to do this right now. Our schools will be about education, not indoctrination. Our kids need better teachers, more teachers, and fewer administrators. And if your school is failing to teach your kids, I'll make sure your children have better options. We will partner with President Trump to get rid of criminal, illegal aliens. Kansas should be the safest place in America, and we will make it so. So President Trump is leading a great American comeback. He needs a strong, proven Kansas conservative governor. I want to be that man. It's in Kansas, it's our faces you will see, not our backs. I'm Governor Jeff Colyer, and I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to win, and we are going to make Kansas great again. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, my friends, and we really appreciate it. Jimmy, thank you for all of you for coming out today. Have a great way. Thank you. Thank you. No better place than here, man.
Congratulations. Look for you. I need your help. Can't move you on the policy side. Well, okay. All right. I'm kind of used to being done.